We heard a couple days ago that the Chicago Bulls made another offer to Josh Giddey, but according to latest reports, it still ain't good enough to Josh Giddey's liking. We're going to talk about that. And the Bulls are preparing themselves to pay Coby White big bucks. Y'all know we're going to talk about it, break it all down, but you got to hear the music first. Cognac. Gang. Shot Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on another daily episode. So if y'all tuned in, ready to talk a little Bulls basketball, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. For my Bears fans, it's going to be okay, y'all. But for my Bulls fans, it's going to be okay, y'all. We just got to go through this shit. We just got to keep going through it, I guess. It don't matter if you're a Bulls fan, a Bears fan, a Sox fan, a Cubs fan. Chicago, we just got to go through it, man. It is what it is. But according to Mark Stein and pretty much confirming Brett Siegel's report, the Bulls' latest offer to Josh Giddey was not enough to his liking. And we know that the initial offer was $20 million, and then the Chicago Bulls came up to about $22 million per year. And when I looked at it, I was kind of on the side of Josh Giddey and pretty much said, like, hey, man, this is not enough. Like, I get it. Y'all can't go off that second half of the season. But at the end of the day, Josh Giddey is going to want to get as close to $30 million as possible. And we looked at the situation with the Chicago Bulls and said, hey, you guys have some fair points when it comes to Josh Giddey. You only seen him really, really hit his stride for half a season. You only ended up giving Patrick Williams $18 million, and you're trying to learn from that mistake. So, and then you understand that in the upcoming future, you're going to have to make tough decisions on Ayo Dosunmu and Coby White in 2026. So it has all came down to just understanding what's ahead for your organization as you try to run this organization and place us in a position to where we can be more successful than what we've seen the last few seasons. The Eastern Conference has a couple teams that's around, and they suffer some major losses to their respective teams, and then Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers and the Chicago Bulls, for all intents and purposes, it wasn't really aggressive enough this offseason personally, but they stuck to what their plan is. They're sticking to what their plan is, and right now with the Josh Giddey stuff, they're standing on that contract. Josh Giddey has their right to not necessarily want to settle for less, but I always been on this side of give him a fair offer, and I don't want Josh Giddey to play on a qualifying offer. Cam Thomas just signed a qualifying offer for pretty much $6 million. Josh Giddey qualifying offer is $11 million, and I don't want him to play on $11 million, but he's a grown man. He's going to have to make those decisions for himself. He will figure out what's best for him moving forward. But at the end of the day, like I said, you know what I'm saying, while we've been constantly going over this discussion, Josh Giddey, get yourself a pay raise. Try to see if you can work in something else to where you and your representation can get you at least a little bit of leverage. Because if we win the leverage, right now the Chicago Bulls have the plate full of leverage. They do. They have a plate full of leverage, and I necessarily do not recommend playing on $11 million simply because you can leave money on the table. Obviously, there's a flip side to that to where you can gain a little bit more, but as it currently stands, bro, injuries are a part of the game. You've dealt with ankle injuries, you know what I'm saying, and nothing is for certain in the NBA. So I would say lock up, you know what I'm saying, this contract to where you have some security for years down the road. But at the same time, it still goes back to the Chicago Bulls and making that offer. And it seems like this is what they're going to stand on. Me personally, I anticipate them really probably standing on it. I think the Chicago Bulls, whether some people like it or not, they might stand on this offer. And Josh Giddey either got to take it and sign or play on a qualifying offer and force the Chicago Bulls' hand in 2026. But if he does play on that qualifying offer, my boy, you got to ball out. My boy, you got to ball out to force the Chicago Bulls' hand, because I heard of a number of scenarios to where some teams around the league, they can have a lot of cap money available to pay Josh Giddey a potential $30 million contract next offseason. But at the end of the day, do you want to be in Chicago? Do the Chicago Bulls want you in Chicago? Yes, because the Chicago Bulls have shot down any talks when it comes to signing trade for you, bud. They shot down any type of trade talks when it came to you. So they want you here. And again, you're going to have to show up and show out if that's how you want to play this whole thing out. But y'all let me know how y'all feeling about that one, because yeah, it's kind of getting exhausting at this point, because I'm ready to focus on basketball. I'm ready to get all these guys together. We've seen Josh Giddey not necessarily be present in a number of things that has been taking place this offseason, like Summer League, and most recently that workout with most of the Chicago Bulls player. Josh Giddey was not there for that either. So we'll see what happens with this. I anticipate this probably go down as close to October 1st as possible when they reach that deadline, and Josh Giddey gonna have to make a decision. And the Chicago Bulls have to make their decision as well. But hey, now following all that, with the offer not being enough for Josh Giddey, there's some things that has been said from Mark Stein along with Brett Siegel that the Chicago Bulls are pretty much bracing themselves to pay Coby White over $30 million this offseason in 2026. And they believe that he can be one of those cornerstone pieces. Again, I talked about Coby White, and my biggest issue has been consistency. I know my mans can ball out. I absolutely know Coby White can ball out. He's a hell of a player. And every single time obstacle has been placed in front of him, he has hurdled that obstacle. And so you got to give him credit for that. And we talked about this a little bit earlier in the offseason, to where if the Chicago Bulls offer him a contract right now, it's only like $89 million. Nah, yeah, if I'm Coby White, we ain't going for that. It's the same thing when you talk about his running mate. He shouldn't be going for that. But the difference is, if we comparing Coby White and Josh Giddey, I would say Coby White has a little bit more on wax than Josh Giddey at this particular points of their career. Coby White was once a starter, then moved to the bench, worked extremely hard, came in, and then, elevated himself back into the starting lineup, was one of those pieces that helped out the squad, ran the point guard, then went back to a shooting guard, and then earned himself and placed himself in conversations like most improved player. Josh Giddey has not done that if we evaluating this thing fairly. Then Coby White goes on and win Players of the Week. He has that under his belt. Josh Giddey so far has not done that. Then Coby White goes and earns Player of the Month. Josh Giddey has not done that. So right now, it's not a comparison on saying who's the better player, but it's more so saying who's the better player and who has put more under their belt to, garner a big payout. You know what I'm saying? I think right now, at least the way the Chicago Bulls are thinking, they looking at it like, hey, Coby White is the more for sure thing, at least right now, at the time that we're having this discussion. Do you believe that Josh Giddey can get better and take steps forward? Absolutely. I believe most of us do. Most of us just want to see it. Now, when it comes to Coby White, you know what I'm saying? Career high 20 points per game last season. And then, really came on when the Chicago Bulls was trying to make their run after the All-Star break and whatnot. And that holds a little bit more weight because they seen the year prior to that in a Bulls uniform along guys like DeMar DeRozan. You know what I'm saying? So it all lines up to be a different thing and different situation for Coby White if we're discussing it differently or compared to Josh Giddey. So for the Chicago Bulls trying to make, understand that Coby White should be here, I'm not necessarily mad at that. And they're bracing themselves to pay him over $30 million. Not mad at that either, because the contract that he's on with average of like $11 million. I don't have the number right here in front of me, but he's outplayed that number immediately. He's outplayed that number. And he definitely deserves to get rewarded. Now, if we talking about championship teams and championship contention, The Bulls still got to build things out, bro. Regardless if we thinking that Coby White is not a championship player, I think that the Chicago Bulls have other issues than to just worry about Coby White. I honestly do. And the way that the teams around the league are building their teams out, you have to have multiple pieces that are able to do a number of things. And Coby White has shown that he can work on his game and actually display that on the basketball court. Is he the greatest defender? No, but very solid in that regard. If it, you know what I'm saying, you want to see him be better when it's, you know what I'm saying, high pressure moments. You want to see Coby White be better than that. But Coby White, I wouldn't be surprised if he shows that this season, simply because, again, every obstacle that has been placed in front of Coby White, he has hurdled those obstacles. And that's for the Chicago Bulls to figure out. It honestly has me interested in where do the Chicago Bulls, or what are they trying to accomplish by not giving Josh Giddey $25 million per se? Are you trying to say, hey, we want to get a team friendly deal done because we understand that we have to give Coby White over $30 million? And then with the money that we save with Josh Giddey and maybe some of those expiring contracts that's on the team that won't be on the books after this season, are we able to then disperse some of that money and give Ayo Dosunmu a contract? It seems like it's fun. It seemed like it's good planning in my evaluation, simply because you want to have guys like Ayo Dosunmu be a part of the team, because I think he is a winning player alongside Josh Giddey and Coby White, because I think that Ayo Dosunmu, you want to hold on to a player like that. You know what I'm saying? A guy that can come in, if there's somebody injured, he can come in and fill the role at the 1 or the 2 and play really damn well. We seen him improve his 3-point shot. We see him be a one-man fast break. So I think that all this is intertwined, in my personal opinion. I think that the Chicago Bulls are trying to save a little bit of bucks on Josh Giddey. They could be properly evaluating him as well and saying, you're not worth the $30 million right now, bro. And that's fair. That's fair. And the way that it all comes out in the end is that we're able to pay you, Josh Giddey. We're able to pay Coby White and retain Ayo Dosunmu. I don't think that's a bad idea. The problem is that you gave Patrick Williams $18 million when he should have been working on and playing on $12 million. Probably not even that. But we'll see what transpires with that. We still got a long time before we see, well, a couple of weeks, not a very long time before we see Bulls basketball. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all plans out. But for now, Josh Giddey is not satisfied with what the Chicago Bulls are trying to offer him. And Coby White, the Bulls are bracing for that payday. And you can't be mad for them finally having some type of foresight. But we hope that with the foresight when it comes to contracts being handed out, that they have some foresight that if a call comes through before the All-Star break or the trade deadline per se, they make moves to get additional assets. And it doesn't all have to be first round picks. We will like that, but I would say you need to take as many bites at the apple as you possibly can. So if somebody comes calling for a Zach Collins at the trade deadline, you might have to consider it for some second round picks. Somebody come calling for Nikola Vucevic in a player exchange or a player exchange and an additional asset, you got to go ahead and consider that. You know what I'm saying? And even if it comes down to some other guys on the squad too, you have to consider everything and have foresight, not just when it comes to who's up for a contract, but how can you make this team better? That's the bottom line, bro. This team needs to be better. We tired of this shit in Chicago with these organizations. We tired of it, bro. We need to get it together. We need to get it together. But hey, that is it for me, bro. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode. Before y'all get up out of here, make sure you hit that comment box and let us know how you feeling about the situation with Josh Giddey and the Chicago Bulls bracing for Coby White. But in the meantime, in between time, I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all always see red, and y'all already know I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure. Peace out, y'all. Cognac. Gang.